I remember a time in my life that was a rather challenging time where I desperately needed to trust and hope in the Lord. I have to go back to my mom. Back when I was a young girl, my mom really, truly was such a loving, wonderful mom, always carrying such a servant's heart, loved the Lord, always praying for me. In fact, I remember one time, even as I grew up and I had a home of my own, my mother snuck over to my house one day when I was out speaking, and she cleaned my entire house for me. That servant's heart. She knew my mother-in-law was coming in town, and she knew my house needed to be cleaned, so maybe she was helping me out there. It was wonderful. My mom had this servant's heart, to the point where one day I remember specifically when she came to my door and she handed me, she said, "Oh, hi, Carol, I'm glad you're at home. I just wanted to give you some cookie sheets that I found that were on sale. These are guaranteed not to burn cookies." I thought, oh, why did you think I needed those? But it was wonderful. I remember closing the door that day and thinking, what would I do without my mom? I am so thankful for my mom in my life. A couple days after the little cookie sheet incident, I was getting ready, early in the morning actually, getting ready to teach a Bible study. And as I was getting ready, it was very early, and the phone rang. My husband answered the phone, and I could tell there was something wrong. And I knew there should be something wrong because normally the phone doesn't ring that early. And after my husband got off the phone, he said, "Carol, we need to go. Your mom has been hit by a car." I said, "Hit by a car? What happened?" And he said, "Well, she was out walking and a car didn't see her, and apparently she's been hit and we need to go immediately." I said, "Kurt, you go on ahead. I'll get the kids to a babysitter, and then I'll join you." Now I did not have a cell phone. This was before I had, or before everybody had cell phones. And so here I was. I sent my husband off, got the kids away. But then I got up, I went to the scene of the accident, and there at the scene of the accident, I saw a policeman directing traffic. And I came up to the policeman, I drove up to him, and I said, where's the woman that was hurt? And he said, "Oh, the ambulance has taken her." I said, "The ambulance? Where have they taken her?" And he said, "Well, they've taken her down to Baylor Hospital, which is in way downtown Dallas." I was out north, and it was a 40-minute drive at least. I said, "Why did they take her to Baylor Hospital?" And he said, "Ma'am, that's where the trauma unit is." I said, "The trauma unit? How bad is this?" He said, "Well, ma'am, I can't tell you that, but you need to get on down there to the hospital." I got going to my car. I realized, wow, this is worse than I thought. I can't imagine. On this little road, how bad could it be? It's surely just a broken leg or something. And as I was driving down the street, I began thinking, I don't even know how to get to Baylor Hospital, and it's 40 minutes away. How am I going to get there through rush hour traffic? I began praying, "Oh, Lord, please help me find my husband in this rush hour traffic." I didn't have a cell phone at the time, so I said, "Oh, Father, please help me." I began looking through the traffic. Now, that's faith right there, looking through rush hour traffic to find my husband. But lo and behold, I saw his car up ahead. So I maneuvered around, got behind him, honked my horn. He saw me. He pulled over. I pulled over. I got in my husband's car, and we began rushing down to Baylor Hospital together. There, as we were in the car, I prayed that the doctors would know what to do, that my mother would feel comfort, and that she would not have anything but debilitating that would happen to her. And as I finished praying, I looked over in the back seat of my husband's car, and there was his Bible. So I grabbed his Bible, and I began looking through it. And of course, I began looking for verses of hope. So where do you go when you're looking for verses of hope? Of course, you go to the Psalms. So there I am, looking through the Psalms, looking for hope. And as I'm looking, every verse I turned to was something about being in the presence of the Lord. I thought, oh, no, wait, that's not the verses I'm looking for. No, I want to find verses of hope and comfort and healing. But every verse I came to was a verse about the joy of being in his presence. I really struggled hard to find a verse that wasn't about being in the Lord's presence, to the point where I finally said out loud to my husband, "I think the Lord is trying to tell me that Mother has died." And I want you to know that before that time, the thought had not even occurred to me. I thought, nobody dies on Meandering Way. It's a simple little road. Nobody dies on that street. I certainly didn't envision that. My husband said, Carol, we need to be ready for that possibility. I thought, no, we don't. No. I'm going to find a scripture in here that offers hope. And each verse I found talked about heaven. So I realized that the Lord was preparing me for something, but I still didn't want to believe it. But gently, through his word, he began preparing me. And as we arrived at the hospital, I don't know how I would have handled it if the Lord had not so kindly prepared me through his word. Because there at the hospital, we met the family friend who had called us. And the family friend was standing there shaking his head and saying, she didn't make it. I want you to know that at that moment, yes, I grieved and I cried. But I gently knew that the Lord was holding me in his hands, and I knew where my mother was in his presence. I knew completely where she was. And I had this sense of peace. And of course, unyielding hope that she was with the Father. The story doesn't end there, though. I want you to know that when we got back to her home and neighbors started pouring in, and we started greeting people as they came in to offer, as neighbors began to offer their grievances. And each neighbor came up to us and said, as we came to the scene of the accident, it's odd, but there was a man there, a silver-haired man, a man standing there gently, actually kneeling there, helping your mom in her dying moments, offering her comfort and hope. Each neighbor said, we've never seen such mercy and compassion. Aren't those God words? Mercy and compassion. I thought, oh, even in my mom's dying moments, God was with her. God had provided someone to take care of her in her dying moments, to comfort her. He comforted me through his word in the car with my husband, but he comforted my mother as she had her last dying breaths and entered his kingdom. I can't help but think of Psalm 23. Even when I walk through the darkest valleys, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. Your rod and your staff protect and comfort me. There's no greater hope than knowing that we are with the Father. But we can also have hope that even when we walk through dark times, that he is with us. Certainly I grieved and cried over her death, but there was that glorious hope, that comfort that he gave even through the darkest times. So I want to remind you that there is hope. There is hope of glory, but there is also hope when we walk through dark times. I hope this brings you hope as well.